Here's a question from a longtime buddy, Thomas Lawson. Thomas and I knew each other back when I was like in junior high. So he knew young Joe with an afro. That was a thing. You missed out. Thomas says, okay, here goes. I have a Yeti mic and a small mixer and a computer with Adobe Audition. What can I do when I have extremely limited equipment? It's a great question. And honestly, so let me tell you a little story. We all start with limited equipment, right? I remember when I was first getting into recording, all I had was my parents' computer and a piece of software that a buddy gave me on a disc. I didn't even have a microphone. I had that, remember that little mic that would come with computers that was kind of just a stick? And it kind of sat on a little circular plastic stand like this. And it had a little cable that you would plug into an 1/8" jack on the back of the computer. I'm assuming for like dictation, so I could like dictate a letter so my secretary could write it up. I don't know. I don't know what it was for, but I found it and said, aha, I have a microphone. I didn't know any better. I plugged it into the back, figured out a way to get it to show up on the track, and I could record something, and I was off to the races. I would sit there, I'd set the stick mic up and hunch over it and record acoustic guitar. I'd record and I'd listen back. Oh, that sounds bad. I'd move it. I'd record, listen back. That sounds a little bit better. Then I would do vocals, and I'd realize I can't put it here because it explodes the mic, so I would put it over here to the side. I would just try a bunch of stuff. I knew nothing, but I would just do stuff. Then my mom has this really nice, sweet, Yamaha baby grand piano. I'd plop that sucker on top and aim it down at the piano, and I'd play it until I found the spot that sounded the best. Again, none of this sounded good, but I didn't know because I was just having fun. Fast forward a few years to I'm in college. I'm about to start study. I'm in college to study recording and audio. Still don't know anything, but I'm starting to learn the proper way to do things. I get a couple of a couple of nicer microphones than the stick. I get a proper audio interface. I get Pro Tools. I'm learning the right way to do this stuff. Guess what happens? I don't make any music. I made a little bit of music my first couple of years, and then I didn't make music for several years later because I was learning the proper way to do it, and I stopped making music. So in some ways, I envy the folks who have a limited setup because you just make music. You just do what you can with what you have. So that said, you said you have a Yeti microphone, which is the little USB mic from Blue, and you have software. That's enough to get a lot done. Now, those USB mics can sometimes have a lot of noise and stuff because they're having to power the mic off of the USB bus, and that's also sending your headphone signal and all that. But it's not like it's the best microphone in the world. But there are countless examples. Go on YouTube and say, oh, this whole album was recorded on an SM57, or this whole album was done, on a old cassette recorder. Listen to how great it sounds. You can make great music with anything. You really can. There's something about the current state of gear where we can capture such a pristine recording that it almost is pointless. Who cares if it's pristine if like the song isn't cool and the guitar part isn't cool? So you, Thomas, I know you're a great guitarist and vocalist. You could record a couple acoustic guitars and a lead vocal and a bunch of harmonies, background vocals, that kind of stuff that I know you like. You could do that and create these really amazing productions just with one microphone. Maybe you won't record a full drum kit all that much, although you can. Maybe it's just a guitar, another guitar, maybe a mandolin. Maybe you have a fiddle player who can come in and record something. You can do lots of stuff with just one microphone. Even if it's not great, the thing is, I've known people who have bought all the nice equipment and they don't know how to use it, so their stuff sounds bad. And the people who have crappy equipment also don't know how to use it and their stuff sounds bad at first. Your stuff's gonna sound bad at first. It just is. Just like the first time you learned to play an instrument. It was bad for a while. That's the same thing here. So you don't want equipment that's so bad that you can't possibly get good recording, but honestly, that's a moot point. In 2019, when I'm shooting this video, there's really even the most bottom of the barrel equipment, like some would say a USB microphone is still capable of capturing something special. And that's what music's all about, right? So I would say, are you limited with a Yeti microphone and Adobe Audition? Yeah. Can you make music with it? Yeah. And as you learn that process, because it's different from songwriting or performing, it's a whole different thing. As you get better at it, you'll start to realize the limitations and things you wish you could do, like add a second microphone or be able to use different plugins in the mix or be able to have more options when it comes to editing or virtual instruments. And then maybe you eventually get into a different piece of software and some different hardware. But to me, all of that doesn't matter until you start. Until you've made a bunch of music on your subpar system and then move on. I mean, you literally, if you buy a phone, I think they even the iPhones now come with like GarageBand installed, or if you're on Android, I'm sure there's plenty of apps where you could literally just sit this out and record, and it sounds actually surprisingly good for what it is. And it gets you in the mindset of, well, I know it's not going to be super great quality, so I can just be creative. That's where we want to be. Then eventually upgrade the gear, sure. But be creative, have fun, make music, get good at making music. You can always upgrade your gear later.